Hi, everybody, it's Joseph Shepard.
And I'm Laganja Estranja.
And welcome to
Queening Out.
There we go.
It's something. We try every time, we got to give A for effort. And this is the podcast where Joseph and I break down each and every episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 7, baby. But of course, in our own unique way.
Now, before we get started, Miss Laganja, what has the week brought you this past week?
Well, I actually have been working on 2 different short film projects. One is called Open to It, which actually has been winning a ton of awards. I was in the 3rd episode, and we're actually going to be featured this year at Outfest, which is really exciting. So exciting! So because of all the buzz that we've picked up, they decided to record more episodes and add me to another episode. So I got to film on a beach in Malibu. It was super fun. I had 2 gorgeous men fanning me with what is that word? Palm fronds? Is that how you say it?
Palm fronds?
Yes. And I got to, smoke my joint. So it was lots of fun. And then now I'm working on another television series. We are doing what people in Hollywood like to call the proof of concept. So basically, this is another series. It's episodic. We are filming part of episode 1, and I am actually playing a male. So it has been a total switch of what I normally play. Usually people hire me to play myself or something very similar, like a drag character. So this has been really fun to just take on something super different. I'm actually playing one of my dear friends, Mark. He and his dear friend, who he calls his sister, because they're basically like chosen family. They wrote this series, and I am playing him in the series. So he is quite the over-the-top gay man. So it's not a stretch for me to tap into that, but it is still very different than what I normally play. So it's been a lot of fun. I've been memorizing lines. We're actually getting ready to film tomorrow. We'll be filming for the next 4 days. So yeah, super excited. Glad I'm kind of working on my actress skills and brushing that off. It's a tool I haven't used really since 2020 when I filmed God Save the Queens, which I'm very happy to say actually also got nominated this year by Outfest. So I'm going to be there on the 22nd with Alaska, Kelly Mantle, and the rest of the cast performing and opening up for the film. So super exciting. You know me, staying busy, always working. But very excited. And now what about you? How have you been? What's been going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, before we get to that, I want to know, since you're playing a male and your hair is now naturally long, what are you doing for the hair process?
Yeah, no, there definitely is some trickery going on. We're going to be pulling the hair back, and I'm going to be wearing a hat, and later today I have to go get rid of these pride nails. But, because of my electrolysis, I'm not really able to grow a beard in certain areas, so we are going to keep me, clean shaven. But definitely in boys' clothes and the whole 9. So it's a lot of fun. My parents were like, is that weird for you? And I was like, no, I'm an actress. It's a role. I mean, I remember when Laverne Cox on Orange is the New Black played both a male and a female. And I remember thinking how powerful that was, and that, just because you identify as trans doesn't mean you can't play, another type of gender identity. I think, lots of times straight people play gay people. We see women playing trans. So I don't see why, a trans woman can't play a gay male.
Exactly. Why not? And so my week, it was been all in bed. I've had an awful sinus infection and been incredibly under the weather.
Wait, I did know this. We texted about this. Yes. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I forgot, girl.
It's been a week.
Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling better, but I'm also like drugging up, of course, and then I have like a Red Bull here, and I'm trying to get better. And my boyfriend's been the type of person who's been sticking a COVID test in my nose every 6 hours to make sure it isn't COVID, and it's just been comical to me because it's like, all right, it's negative, and he'll be like, no, it's been 12 minutes. There's 3 more minutes left on this test until we know. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not going to change. It's pretty negative right here. So he just wants it to be safe and everything, which is totally understandable.
I honestly think this is going around. My best friends right now are really sick too. So I think, maybe there's a little bug in the air. And cough medicine and Red Bull. It's a deadly combination. I know it well.
Well, when I texted you the other day, I literally went to sleep at like 9 p.m. I woke up at like 5 or 6 and I was like, you know what? I'll just take another set of NyQuil just so I can like end up sleeping a little bit more. And then I didn't wake up till 3:30. I was like, that was a mistake.
I totally know when I actually had COVID, when I was on Work the World, my schedule was so insane. There was just no like keeping a normal schedule. When you're taking medicine that kind of forces you to sleep, it's hard. It's hard to maintain a regular schedule.
Exactly. Well, speaking of maintaining something, I think we need to maybe maintain this inbox, right?
Oh, that's right. Now, remember, we love hearing your thoughts and opinions, so we have set up an email for you. That's laganjos@gmail. That's LAGANJOES@gmail.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail, and that's 323-607-5116, and we may play it back on the show. We're going to get to the voicemails later on in the show.
Well, let's check out our inbox right now. Since we got to maintain this inbox, it has been flooded recently. Thank you for flooding our basements with all your love. Now, our first message is from Addie, and they say, "Hi, Laganja and Joseph. Oh, wow. Thanks for reading my email. I was very drunk when I wrote it. I thought it was a dream. Ganj, thanks for making me sound almost eloquent. Love you both, Addie." So obviously this is Addie from last week. So good to hear back from you. Thank you for writing us, a more coherent email, although we love all of your emails, whether they're drunk, high, sober, or not, mama.
Because, what they say, drunk thoughts or, what is it? Truths? I don't know. Yeah,
truth serums. Yeah. Something like this. Well, it's great to hear from you, Addie. Thank you so much for just loving us and listening to our podcast and giving us, lots of good energy.
Our next email is from Ross. It says, "Hi, Joseph and Laganja. Shout out from all the way across the pond in Bristol, England. Thanks for the great content. Really enjoying the dynamic between you both. Special mention to Laganja for radiating authenticity, kindness, and positive energy. There's something about you which brightens my day. Thank you for sharing your good vibes. My question to you both is, what quality do you think is most important for a drag queen to embody? Please, can you give a shout out to my boyfriend Josh, whose thick thighs give Joseph a run for his money." Oh,
wow!
Thank you, Ross. And there's a picture of Ross and his boyfriend Josh with their little doggy.
Adorable. Well, shout out to you, boyfriend Josh, and of course, shout out to you for writing this email, and thanks for complimenting me. I appreciate that. I think there's a lot of important qualities that drag queens need to have. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down to one. For me personally, it's kindness. I think that a lot of times drag queens carry an energy of badass bitch realness. And I think because of shade and the library being open, a lot of times queens have this sort of exterior that can be tough or hard to talk to. So for me, I think being kind, being open, being vulnerable, I think is really important. When I think of queen, I don't just think of the term drag queen. I think of a real queen, someone who would run the land. And I think, what makes a queen powerful is her kindness and is her willingness to listen to the people and to, take their feedback and bring that to the masses. So that would be, I guess, my most important quality that I look for in drag queens.
I agree with that. I think that kindness is a very big thing. I think that especially when I was first starting to go out to gay bars when I turned 21, and the drag queens that would come up to you or be able to talk to you and just have a conversation were the ones that captivated me and made me want to go and see their shows. The ones that would maybe stay a little bit afterwards and talk to people. They could be full-on local queens. It didn't matter, but they gave you that love and that respect, and that was always something really big for me. I also think that confidence, when it comes down to performances, is big. I don't care what you're wearing. I don't care how it is. If you can own the performance and you can sell it to me, great. And I think that one thing that I saw somebody tweet out one time was, queens never do songs or never do performances that people want. Do what you are happy with and what you want to do, because I honestly believe that that's when queens truly shine. So confidence and kindness, yeah.
I love it. I think that's great advice. And also shout out to all our full-on local queens. I'm loving that term. Yes, full-on local queens. You know, I always say this in my shows. It's amazing that people come out to see me, but it's so important that we support drag that's not only seen on television, but drag that's seen every night in the bars where the RuPaul's Drag Race girls are coming, because that's the only reason we're able to travel there, is because of the local queens that keep that running each and every day. So shout out to our full-on local queens. We love you. And thank you so much for this email. Adorable, Ross. We are really appreciating you and your support all the way in England. That's amazing, Joseph. I can't believe it. We've crossed the pond.
We'll have to have a thigh crushing contest with some watermelon now.
Oh my gosh. I've seen those videos. Did you happen to see the TikTok of Manny MUA where he shows that and then he splices it and he's painted his face like a watermelon? Hysterical.
Yes!
Hysterical.
So good.
Well, it looks like we actually have another email, you guys. This one says, "Hey, beautifuls. My name is Michelle and I live in Toronto, Canada. Laganja, I've been a fan of yours for about 8 or 9 years and outside of Drag Race. I love your music and swag and even the funny streams you did with Adam Ill, Misters and Marys. Oh my gosh, wow, this person really follows me. We've got 2 questions here. The first one says, for both of you, who has been your favorite Canadian queen on Canada's Drag Race and why? Joe, I'm guessing yours is Jimbo, LOL. And for me specifically, it says, any plans to visit up here in the north? We would love to see ya. Love your podcast. Love the full discussion around the Girls on All Stars Season 7. Stay healthy and beautiful. Love, Michelle."
Well, thank you, Michelle.
Well, is she right? Is your favorite Canada Queen Jimbo?
I would have to say that my favorite Canada Queen is Jimbo. Absolutely love my Jimbo. As we talked about last week, she's in my music video. Just been the kindest. Her husband has been extremely sweet to me.
Him.
And they've been big supporters. And I think that at the end of the day, like, I love giving the queens an opportunity to speak and tell their stories. But those queens that take it that little step further just to check in with me or see how I'm doing and stuff, like, that means a lot. And that's how Jimbo and Brady, her husband, are. And they've always been very supportive. So, yeah.
Well, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon, but I have to say my favorite is definitely Jimbo. A second close runner-up would be Lemon. I really love Lemon as well. But, you know, I got a chance to work with Jimbo on a music video that's yet to be released yet with my dear friend Robert Heyman. And that was just such an amazing experience working with Jimbo. Jimbo is so sweet, so kind, so funny, so weird, such an artist. And again, to echo what you were saying, his husband is just amazing. Totally the rock of that relationship, you can tell. And yeah, I just really feel connected to Jimbo as an artist. So shout out to Jimbo. We love you, sweetheart.
Jimbo!
Well, when we get back, we are going to do a deep dive into the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 7. Stay tuned.
But wait, Laganja, you need to know. They asked, do you have any plans to visit up north?
Oh, right. I did. I skipped a question. I'm sorry. I knew it was going to happen too. And I was like, there's 2 questions. I was like, oh, it's going to be hard for me to remember that. I do have plans to come up north. It's been really hard for me to get up there, but we are working on it. And we are hoping that this year in 2022, I said that right? 2022? Yeah.
Yeah.
Still feels weird to me, right? I'm hoping I'm going to come there. I really, really want to come to Canada. So just trust and believe we are working on it. Stay patient, stay tuned, and hopefully I'll see you very soon.
Well, we are back. It is queening out. We are back in the workroom. There's this chaos that ensues. I thought it was the funniest montage ever. You had Evie sticking her foot up in the air. People didn't know where her head was. They took the plunger and put it on Shay's head. Jinx was taking off her clothes and people were saying it smelled like corn. I was just laughing so hard. So since we have already chatted about your commercial challenge with the door, I think it's time we hop into the time machine to chat chaotic and fun BTS moments that you had with your sisters on season 6.
I I feel like one of the moments that I really remember was actually when we were shooting the promo. And we were all outside because they would only take us in like one at a time to shoot. And so that allowed us to actually be together. And I think we've talked about this on the show before, but remember when we're filming, they do a thing called ice, which means we're not allowed to talk to each other when the cameras aren't on. But because this day was all around promo and didn't have anything to do with the challenges and the show itself, we were awarded the luxury of being able to speak to one another. And I remember this is where Gia told all of us that she, identified as transsexual. And that was really one of the first times, besides Sonique, that I had been around someone who identified as this and kind of was able to explain it to me. And I remember Adore talking about how she had really struggled with her gender and that she, had gone through a period of time during high school where she lived as a woman and now she was trying to find her footing. And you have to remember, this was over 10 years ago, so non-binary wasn't really even in the, ether of acknowledgement. So I think at that time, that's kind of what Adore was expressing to us, was that she could really relate to Gia, but she didn't really feel the same. Now, for me, at this point, I think, again, I knew my truth, but I wasn't really able to speak on it. I was just able to be like, well, I'm a woman too. Like, I'm definitely a woman. I'm definitely fish. I'm not trying to be weird like you, Milk. There was definitely that sort of banter. Now, I don't remember that being necessarily chaotic, but it is one of my dearest memories because I think it was really one of the first times that I was kind of able to open up about my truth and to do it with people who really understood it. Now, as far as chaotic goes, I would say the most chaotic thing was like being on the bus after filming for 14 hours a day and like not being able to talk to each other. Like, I think we all would literally drive the bus drivers crazy because we weren't really able to talk about the show. We like what did that leave us? Like talking about lunch, talking about dinner, talking about music. And so like a lot of the times we would like play our lip sync songs in our own ear pods and sing really loud at the top of our lungs. And like we would all be doing this at once in the bus. So it was definitely very chaotic in that moment, I'm sure, for the bus driver. But we found it very funny to annoy them, naturally. And of course, then we would also like, start talking about things we weren't supposed to. And that, of course, then would make the bus driver be like, no, you can't do that. And, they had to like really watch us in those moments when we were finally all back together on it wasn't a bus, it was a van that would take us back to the hotel. Another super chaotic moment, for me at least, was being locked in the hotel room every night. We literally would have tape put over our doors so they would know if we would open our door. And that to me was just very chaotic because I felt trapped. And I was really lucky in a way that I smoked cigarettes because that was one of the few ways you could leave your room. So I remember specifically like, you'd have to write a note being like, I need a cigarette break and put it underneath the door. And then there would be a hall monitor because we had a whole hall of a hotel that would come by, see the note, and then take people individually one by one down to smoke their cigarettes. So I remember that, for me at least, feeling very chaotic because you would slip that note under the door and then you would just be waiting and just like, when are they going to let me out, And then when you would finally get out, you would just take as long as you could with that cigarette. You know what I mean? Because you didn't want to go back to your room. But, it's funny. In that moment, it seemed intense and very chaotic. But now when I look back at it, it does seem fun in a way because it was kind of like summer camp and it was like, you had to abide by the rules. And, I grew up in summer camp. So I sometimes think, while we don't enjoy the rules later, we're able to look back at them and be like, okay, well, they were there for a place. And, I still got to have fun along the way.
Okay, so when you were filming and you would go back to the hotel, you did have days off. So like those days off that you had, very few, but the days off that if you did have them, did you just stay in the hotel room the whole time? Did you get to like go to the pool or anything? Or
we never got to go to the pool. They definitely would let us out to the gym, but again, it was one by one. It wasn't like we got to go work out in the gym together. So, the thing is, we were so exhausted that finally when we got a day off, because I believe we got a day off like every 6 to 7 days. So when we would finally get a day off, I think everyone was really dead and they needed it and they wanted to be in their room and they wanted to sleep and they wanted to, rhinestone their costume or practice their lip syncs or veg out and watch TV. And, the good thing I can say is they fed us really well. And so I loved it. Like I would just order the house down and I would stay in that room. And I definitely look forward to my days off.
Did you have like things that you could watch? Did you get like the TV channels and stuff like that, or was it like just select VHS tapes?
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, I don't think we were allowed to watch TV. Like they didn't want us watching the news and staying up on the current events. So I'm pretty sure they brought in like VCRs, but maybe not. I think it was actually DVD players. I think we were at DVDs by that point. But I remember Paris is Burning was one of the DVDs they had given us to watch. And I know this is horrible to admit, but I'd actually, well, that's not true. I had seen it because I'd seen it in college, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. So I ended up watching that one a lot, like over and over, many times. I definitely learned that documentary forward and backwards.
And I guess my last question before we get out of this time warp is that when it comes down to lip sync songs, and you guys are like, ooh, and you guys are practicing those, like let's say in your hotel room, did you practice lip sync songs and everything that you were going to do? Did you like practice like, I want to do this move here, or I want to do this here? Or was it more just, I need to learn these words? Like, how did you process things?
Right. I think, again, it's going to be different for each contestant. For me, the way that I learn words is through movement. You know, I'm a dancer first and foremost. So for me, definitely, I knew what moves I was going to do. I would practice those moves. You know, we were given a list of songs that we would have prior to entering the competition, but we never knew which week would be which song. So I would just try to, you know, go through all the songs in my playlist and be familiar with all of them. And then obviously for the challenge, they would alert us, you know, the day before, or I think 3 days before, I can't really remember, about which specific song would be for that episode. So that's why on the bus, we would have that song playing in our earphones and would be practicing it because you just never knew.
You never knew. Well, Laganja, you told us about your hotel time. I think it's time that
actually, I do have I have one other anecdote I can tell you about the hotel. What was so funny is I believe it was called the Garden Inn, or maybe it's just called the Garden. Anyways, long story short, when Gia moved out to California, she lived with me in Van Nuys, where I lived for 7+ years. But when she and I finally decided to move in together, we lived on the same street where that hotel was. So it was so crazy, you know, we would drive by that hotel every single day to get onto the highway, and it's where we met each other, you know? So it was just such a, I don't know, serendipitous? Is that the word I'm looking for? Like, yeah. Or such an ironic moment that happened, that we happened to choose an apartment that was literally on the same street as the hotel where we had met many years ago. So crazy.
They should do a season 6 reunion and put you all back in the same hotel rooms.
You know what? I honestly think it's one of the most iconic seasons. I mean, of course I say that I was on it, but
so is.
I believe that they really should get the cast of season 6 back together because so many of us have really gone in such different directions and really done our own thing. And I think it would be a very interesting special. So it's a good idea. I'm glad you put that in my head. I'm like, maybe I need to organize that.
Yeah, I think you should. There you go. That would be.
I don't know if we can get Bianca though.
We'll get it. We'll pay for a cameo from her. She'll just show up on the screen.
You are brilliant. Oh my God, you're brilliant. That's exactly what has to happen. Seriously.
And we can use Gia Gunn Studio to shoot it.
Oh, absolutely. That's right. Gunn Studios, which is designed and built by my friend Mark, who is the person I'm working with now on the short film, who I'm playing. See how things are all connected? It's crazy.
You want to tell us about this challenge?
Sure. Well, this week's challenge is something that's right up my alley. You know, I was all over this when I saw this. I was like, I wish that TikTok had been a thing back when I was on the show, because I feel like I would have murdered this challenge. But basically, it was a signature social media dance challenge, because obviously they couldn't say TikTok on the show. But that's totally what these girls were doing. And, you know, they had to do a little intro where they would work you through what they were doing, and then we would see the 10 to 15 second TikTok at the end.
So let's get into these challenges. I would love to know from you, if you were doing a dance challenge, is there any RuPaul song that you would prefer, or what would you do for your brand? How would you incorporate that? Do you think you would do a dip? Like, what do you think your big thing would be?
Well, definitely a dip. I think I'm most known for that, so absolutely would have to incorporate that in the dance section. As far as songs that come to mind, Sissy That Walk, it was from my season. I love that song. And also Sexy Drag Queen. This was one of the songs that we had to lip sync or were given an option to lip sync, and it's the one I chose for my audition video. So I know it really well, and of course it's all about being sexy, so I definitely feel that vibe. Another song that comes to mind that I really love, although after seeing this week's episode, I'm glad I didn't have the opportunity to choose it, would be Peanut Butter. I love that song. Is that what the song's actually called? Peanut. It's the one Jinx did.
Yeah,
I think it's called Peanut Butter. Or Jam Don't Shake. I think it is. I don't know. But I love that song. That's one of my favorite RuPaul songs. So I definitely think I would have gravitated towards that song, but I would have not had such a creative idea like Jinx did. So in the end, I think my most probably thing I would have wanted was Sissy That Walk, because it's just, to me, it's iconic season 6.
Yeah, I agree with the Sissy That Walk. I think like also like there were certain songs that obviously had more punch to them too, to be able to do more dance moves and to be able to hit like the different things that the girls were wanting to do. Yeah. I was trying to think what I would want to do.
I was going to say, what song would you want to do?
I don't know. That is so hard. Like thinking about RuPaul songs, I'm like,
you don't listen to RuPaul songs all the time?
No, not all of the time. I'm trying to think. I think
it's funny because our brands are so, assimilated with RuPaul's Drag Race. I think people would think that we are listening to her music 24/7. But the truth is, I think, at least for me, because this is so much of a part of who I am in my job, when I'm not doing these things, I'm not going to put on a RuPaul track. I mean, no shade to RuPaul. Amazing music. But, a lot of my life is around RuPaul's Drag Race. So it's not like I'm just popping in a RuPaul track and able to list them all off the top of my head like that.
Right? And then it seems like every year there's like 10 more RuPaul's tracks. And
girl, she comes out with a new album every 6 months.
I'm like, what does she do? Does she just sit in the studio for like a week straight and just like, bop, bada, bop, bada, bop, bop, bop? Like that's what I feel like it is. I
think so.
Damn.
She must be making the money off the streams or she wouldn't keep making the albums. That's for sure.
And then she can keep making the money off the streams by having the girls put their verses on them, and then that can be another version of the song.
Well, right. I think that was so successful for her. That's why she's continued to do that season after season, And it's great because it does give the girls an opportunity to be on a track with RuPaul. I mean, I wish I had that. Back in my season, we did the covers of RuPaul's song. I don't know if you remember that. Not to take us back to the time warp, but I had Jealous of My Boogie, which is one of my favorite RuPaul songs, and I got to add my own rap in there, which was so cool. But RuPaul's not really on my track. It's really my cover of her track, so I still to this day wish I could be on a track with her. I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope. So getting into this dance TikTok, not TikTok challenge, the first up we had Shea Coulee with the Shake Down. What did you think of Shea Coulee?
Well, first off, it really made me want shake and steak. Have you ever had this?
Yes.
Wait,
you mean steak and shake?
What did I say? Shake and steak?
You said shake and steak.
All right, well, you know what I meant. I love it so much, and it really isn't out here in California. And so when I first heard of it, it just made me think of just like the delicious chili and the salad and the burgers and the milkshakes and the cute little hats. But anyways, that's besides the point. I really loved the branding. I thought it was a very smart, very clever of her. Now, for me, she had the best dance. I really think that her dance is the most viral. It's the most easily repeatable. It went with the song the best. I really felt that she did the best job when it came to the actual dance. Now, when it came to explaining it, I felt like she was a little stiff. I wasn't really able to relate to her as much as I was with some of the other, other contestants. And I felt like it just didn't really feel like her. Like I felt like she was trying too hard. And as someone who is known for trying too hard, I totally get it. It's uncomfortable in those situations, especially when it's not really something she does. I mean, I definitely think she's choreographed before, but to give an instructional dance lesson, that's not something Shea is doing normally. So that part came off a little off to me, but when we finally saw the dance, I was like, well, that's it. I mean, that's That's what they were looking for. That was totally on brand, super repeatable, very viral. I thought she nailed it. And I kind of felt like she didn't get enough praise for how well she did.
I think that the dance was great. Like you said, the first intro part, she was the only queen who didn't say step 1, step 2, step 3. She didn't like break things up into steps, which to me is the biggest part. Like you have to be like, first we need to do X, step 2 we do this, and every single other girl did it. And so when she didn't do that, I think that that's what kind of pushed me into like, oh, you know, like you missed that opportunity, because any dance challenge or any type of, you remember Darren's dance grooves? That was
Of course! Shit. Oh my god, I totally remember that! Wow, you're really throwing it back, girl.
Yes, I remember popping in that VHS tape and trying to learn those moves to Britney Spears and NSYNC to Backstreet Boys.
Totally.
And that was my first introduction to what dance actually was. So step 1, 2, 3, 4. And so when that didn't happen, I was like, I missed that. But I do think that she did really good. I think that her dance, like you said, was the most doable. I think that that would be the most viral. Yes, I agree with that.
Now wait, have you ever seen Ganja's Grooves?
Wait, no! What's Ganja's Grooves?
Girl, it's so old. In fact, somebody just recently, one of my dancers actually posted it as like a thing to be like, oh my god, 6 years ago today we filmed Ganja's Grooves. I was like, wow, I can't believe that was so long ago. But yeah, I had a whole YouTube series like on a full green screen that we fully produced where it was dance tutorials. I mean, this is something, again, like you said, I grew up watching them. I grew up loving them. And so I tried to have my own series. It was, pretty successful for me at the time. But I totally understand about breaking it down. It's really important that you break it down. And when the dance is hard, because, I was doing more harder dances. It wasn't like TikTok era back then. You have to kind of go back and repeat. So you do step 1, step 2, then you go back and do step 1 and 2 together. Then you do step 3, then you add 1, 2, and 3 together. And you kind of build upon the dance, sort of like a dance class would be taught, in person and live. So again, I agree with you. I think she missed the mark when it came to that, but I still think, for me, it was the best viral dance.
Yeah. Next up, we had Miss Jada Essence Hall for the Divas Essential Dance Challenge. I was laughing. I just thought that Jada embodied everything about her signature, like look over there, the paparazzi things. I thought it was very comical. Also, she looked gorgeous in that hair and the dress. Like, I really enjoyed it. I thought it really incorporated her brand in a very unique and different way. It was comical and funny. I thought that it was actually really good.
Yeah, so on this one, I felt the opposite of Shay. I thought she did an amazing job at teaching it, but then when I finally saw the full dance together, I was like, meh. It didn't really translate to me to a viral dance that I could see a bunch of people doing on a platform like TikTok. Now, I agree with you. The look over there was very smart. And I think she could have just taken that one simple idea and used that and elaborated on that more. I felt like the other stuff, it just became more of a comedy than it just became more of a comedy and less of a challenge. So I thought she did kind of fall short in that way. I definitely agree with you. She looked so gorgeous. The way the strap was falling off her shoulder, so sexy. I loved when she threw the fur. I mean, it was very funny, very entertaining, very relatable. But to me, the kernel that we were looking for in this challenge was I keep wanting to say TikTok. I know we're like, we can say it. We're a podcast.
Yeah, we're fine.
I felt like the kernel of this was to find a TikTok dance, and I just didn't really think hers was a TikTok dance or TikTok challenge per se.
Well, we can agree to disagree. What did you think of the Vivians Can't Dance? Who cares? The Vivio. The Vivio. The Vivio.
The Vivio was genius marketing. Talk about way to sell a brand. I thought that was so funny. And again, she took RuPaul's critique and just kept saying it over and over and pushing that point through, which I thought was very smart branding. Again, the dance for me was a little bit more on the comical side than it was on something that's going to go viral or be something that I could see people doing as a challenge. But I do think she succeeded a little bit more than Jada in this aspect just because it was a little bit more physical. And, was starting out with that role in the beginning. I was like, okay, I can see people hopping on that. Like, there was a physicality to the humor behind it.
This was actually my least favorite out of all of them. And I think that the reason why is because when the Viv was doing everything, I understand she was trying to show that she couldn't dance, but I didn't need the 9 million, and then like when she did one move and it was like she like hurt herself, and then when the dance actually happened, she still incorporated those huffing and puffings and the hurts in the exact same way. So for me, the joke had already been played once and then I got it again. So I thought you either need to do one, like where you're doing the instructional part and you're getting hurt and you're like doing this, and then when it comes down to the dance, you're killing it, or vice versa. But like seeing it 2 different times and being hurt in the same spot and the same huffing and puffing, it wasn't there for me.
See, whereas I felt like that was the physicality behind the humor, and I felt like there are so many people online who feel like they can't dance and that they don't do TikTok dances, and so that's why I was like, oh, they could relate to this, and they could do this, and they could, huff and puff, and it would be funny to them. I agree with you. It's not very funny to me. At that point, the joke had died, but I can just see how people on the TikTok world could relate to that. So that's why, not my favorite, not my least favorite.
Another one that was in the middle for me, however,
sure.
the Raja was next, and I actually thought it was very strategic and smart of her to do RAJA. So there was a move that was incorporated with each letter of her name. The calm, like coming together, yoga-esque type meditation she started at the first, I thought was very good. And the moves were all right. I mean, it was a Raja, but I did feel like there was a little bit of down energy, if that makes sense. I don't know if Raja maybe wasn't as confident as what she wanted to be, because, dance is not for everybody, but I kind of saw like a little bit of a crack in there. But I thought it was good.
This one was definitely in the middle for me too. It was pretty safe. I thought it started out really strong with like, it wasn't Vogue, but as the girls call it, the Nogue. It was the Nogue movements, and I liked that. I could see how that could be very popular on, a dance challenge, but it kind of fizzled out for me. I think that was her downfall. I thought she did a great job teaching it, very clear and concise, but again, when we saw the full dance, I felt like it just didn't really live up to its full potential. I also felt like for the branding, calling it the Raja, like literally her name, it wasn't that creative. I wish she had kind of found a way to use her name, or, to use more of her spirituality, or the third eye that she always wears on her necklace. Or I just felt like she could have taken it a little bit further. It's like me doing a dance called the Ganja. It's like, it's not that far of a stretch. Whereas like Shakedown is using your name, but then twisting it a little bit, adding a little something to it. So I wish she had done a little bit more when it comes to that. But I thought overall it was way better than what I expected. I honestly thought she would be the worst. And I was like, no, she did really good. And I loved that she said she pays attention. I love that she said she pays attention to these dance challenges, but doesn't participate in them. I can't speak. I love that she said that she watches these dance challenges, but she doesn't really participate in them. And I think that kind of did show a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you now that you said that everybody else kind of used their name or used some form of their name in the title of the dance challenge. I do see now what you're saying, that it wasn't that creative or that pushing it out of the box and thinking of where you could, put your name. Like the eye of the tiger, the eye of the something, like thinking of that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because she has so many, at least to me, other facets of her personality and of her brand that she could have really pushed. Even the whole fashion aspect and the modeling aspect and the fact that she did America's Next Top Model and the makeup. Like, I just think she could have found something that was a little less obvious. That's all.
So then we have Miss Evie Oddly with the Odd Bod. What did you think of this?
Well, again, great branding. Loved the title. Loved the way she taught it. It was so funny. She's like, whether you're an insecure gay, I was dying. I was literally dying at that. I thought she was really funny, really expressive. Do I think that dance is going to go viral? has a good chance because there are a lot of oddballs out there on the TikTok, you know? But I do think it's a harder dance to repeat than, say, a Shea Coulee. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not as codifiable, as clear and concise. It definitely was more about personality, less about nailing actual dance moves. But I thought it was very smart of her. I thought she really sold it. It's definitely a dance that I would want to do. I'm an oddball myself, so I definitely related. But again, as far as like virality goes, I think she would have fallen short in that aspect in comparison to someone like Shea.
Yeah. I think that I loved the difference between her showing the moves and everything, and then when she actually got to it, and then when she pulled out the lollipops and stuff and she added more to what she did, absolutely loved it. And I thought that it made me smile and it made me laugh, and I was like, this is exactly who Evie is. I know the brand, I know everything about it. It was one of the ones that was higher up for me.
I definitely agree. And another thing I want to say is, like, it started out really strong, like with the hands in the pockets and the way she was moving her hips in a circle. Like, that's a really good dance move to do. Did I freeze over there for you?
No.
Okay, good. I'm frozen in the most ugliest face right now, so yikes. But what I was saying is, I really thought Evie started out amazing in the beginning with her hands in the pockets and doing the hips in the circle. That's super easy to copy and do. But once she started the flailing movements, I thought that's where it became hard when looking for a viral dance challenge.
Next up, we had Jinx Monsoon with the Monsoon Munchies. Okay, I will just say I know that Jinx is not a dancer. I know that that is something that's not in her wheelhouse. But this is how you take, in my head, this is how you take something and you make it to your own. So the whole intro to me, I thought was hilarious. It was very Jinx's brand. I think that this was the only intro that I felt wasn't forced, I guess you would say. A lot of the intros to me felt like they weren't like in character. Like you said, like Shea, there was a little bit of like hesitancy. I think the Vivienne, like, you know, everybody had a little bit of hesitancy or like maybe not fully confident. And I felt like these words were all memorized. She knew them all. She wasn't second guessing what she was going to say next. And I thought that for making a peanut butter sandwich and doing that, I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute. Is it viral? Will people actually do this? No, I don't think that people will do it. But you know what? The internet is weird. Maybe people want to make a peanut butter sandwich this way. So I don't know. What'd you think?
I love it. Today we have such different opinions. I really think that this is a viral challenge. And this to me was so smart. She knew she wasn't a dancer, so she found something else that's a challenge. And when we saw her eating it really fast in the workroom, I knew immediately. I was like, yes, people would try to eat a peanut butter sandwich that quick and then the span of a TikTok. That's so genius. Now, yes. I disliked her teaching. I thought it was a forced. And I thought all of the comedy bits where she kept yelling and doing all that was like much. And I was like, okay, girl, you're doing too much, in my opinion. So I like that we have such opposite opinions here on this because you liked the teaching and didn't love the dance. And I thought the dance was super creative. And when we finally saw it all together and she did add some dancing with the spreading of the peanut butter, I was like, that's brilliant. I just thought it was brilliant. I really do think that for me, Shea and her were my tops. I really felt like this to me was definitely a viral challenge. Was it a dance challenge? She definitely skirted her way around that, but it was creative. It was on brand. And again, I always love the munchies. So for me, I loved it.
I also want to know, I didn't think about this. So the guy goes and he it's at the very end, he slides into the frame and he has a thing of milk, he pours it on, but it's not milk.
It's like paint, right?
To him.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, okay, y'all put a little bit too much white paint in there, y'all. I get it. They wanted it to show up, but yeah, that was weird.
Next up, the Monet. What did you think about the Monet?
You know, I'm probably going to get raked over the coals for this, but for me, it felt a little generic. I do think it was smart that she listened to RuPaul's advice and that she changed her dance. I do think that it did have viral dance moves in it. But I felt as a whole, when I watched the whole thing, it wasn't as easy to repeat like Shay's. I really felt like it kind of all blended together. There wasn't enough distinction to me between the dance moves, but I thought she nailed it with the branding. She nailed it with wearing green. She nailed it with the money flying into the shot. Like, I know why she got such high praises here. I totally understand that. I do think it was one of the better ones. But for me, in comparison to Shay, I just felt the virality power of it wasn't as strong because it wasn't so distinct.
Yeah, I think I see everything that you're saying there, and as when I was watching it, I was like, when RuPaul gives you a suggestion, you better do the suggestion, because if you don't, you're gonna be in the lower part or the bottom or whatever you say. So whatever he says, you do it. I just agree with you in everything that you said, that it just wasn't. To me, it wasn't like original. There wasn't really anything crazy. Of course, we know Monet, money, like, you know, like all of this stuff. I did like the aspect that she added in there of like, it is, you know, 11:59 and blah, blah, and accounting is about to put in. I thought that that was cute. But overall, I do agree too. I didn't like too when the girls would be like, step one, it's this. And then you would see the dance and it'd be like a totally different thing. They would be doing something different with their feet, or they would do something like a totally different move. That was something that kind of like irked me, because I was like, if you want to make something simple, don't go and then change your whole dance. And I feel like that was a big portion of it too for her.
Well, and for me, you know, she missed the whole exchange part. Like, there was no, like, X's. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I really felt like the moves, like I said, they just kind of all blended together. It was a lot of, like, booty shaking, you know? And I just felt like had she interspersed some other iconic moves that were different, it could have been something that was more repeatable and more of a challenge. Whereas this, to me, felt more like, you know, a twerk sesh. Like, it wasn't, like, totally... Yeah. I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was as codifiable, again, as Shay's. But just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. And I also think that she had one of the best songs, too. I mean, Freakin' Money, like, it was, that's a very pop, pop, pop.
And, like, even that move, you know, like, with your legs, like, they do that. Like, she could have crossed the legs. Like, I just think she could have found more X's to go with her last name. And I think she could have pushed it further.
I agree. And last up, we had Trinity the Tuck with the Tuck It Up Dance Challenge. I thought that this was good, and I thought that she did a very good job. I thought that it was very comical. It was in the top section for me. My only thing is that, that sounds so bad. I'm kind of done with the tucking. I mean, I get it. Like,
that's like people telling me they're done with the weed, girl.
I know, but like, I don't know. It's like her talent show when she came on for All Stars 4 was the tuck song, doing the tuck. She did it for something else with the tuck. So I understand, but it's like, we've seen the exact same thing you did for your actual song on the All Stars talent stage, you know, 2 or 3 seasons ago. So that's where my head went. Do I think that she killed it and she did a great job and she branded herself? Yeah, 100%. She did all of that. But I think that there was just one part of me that was like, okay, Tuck.
Totally. I hear what you're saying. I disagree because I think it's really smart. It's her brand. I thought it was creative. I did think she was a little forced. I felt a little like she didn't need to like be playing the character so much. Like, I thought she should have let the dance speak more. Kind of like what I felt with Jinx. Like, it was like, okay, they're doing a lot of like character here, which, hey, it's drag. I get it. But one thing that I think could have really taken her to the next level is to use the tape. I felt like it would have been really cool to like see her actually use the tape and then stick it to her leg and put like, I don't know, there could have been a creative way to like use the tape, because everyone has a roll of tape at home, and it would have made it more of a challenge to actually have to incorporate the tape itself and use that as like an additional prop or tool in the actual challenge. So that was just something that as a choreographer, I was like, I wonder if she could have found a way, like, you know, stick it to the bottom of her foot, pull it up, bite it, like make using the tape like actually part of the challenge. Yes. And that could have made it a little bit more creative to me.
I love that idea. I think that would have been a totally different level, like added on to it. Laganja. That's why you teach the dance.
You know, that's why I have a BFA in choreography.
Well, let's take a little break and then we can get into these runway looks.
Okay. We are back again. And honey, it is time to Michelle Pfeiffer, What Lies Beneath? Now, you know I love a good reveal. I'm glad you got that joke. Thank you.
Yes.
I love a good reveal. So when this was revealed to us that this is what the challenge would be this week, or the runway theme, I was so excited. Now, I think some of these girls really interpreted this in very creative ways. And I think some girls came out with a good old drag coat. So let's get into these looks and hear what you think.
Before we get into it, RuPaul said, and on the runway tonight, the girls were tasked with giving several mini reveals. So in my head, several and many is the same word. So
what?
Like you would say like several reveals, or you would say mini reveals, but several mini reveals in my head process as mini as in baby. So I thought that these girls were going to be coming out with the smallest reveals, and I'd like turn to my boyfriend and I go, oh my gosh, I would so be like an advent calendar for Christmas, and there'd be like different pockets and stuff that would pop out, and different parts would come out and reveal different things because that would be different. And then my boyfriend was like, I think that they just mean mini reveals.
As in M-A-N-Y.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought M-I-N-I. And I was
oh my God.
okay.
I love it. That's so cool. See, that's how you know you got a creative queen on your hands, is when they take the prompt and then turn it into something else that's super not thought of. So I love that. Advent calendar. So cool.
Advent calendar. Well, Miss Shea Coulee, what did we think about Miss Shea? You want to describe this outfit?
Absolutely. So she comes out in a feather ostrich trench coat. It is beautiful blue. It's got a really neat pattern at the bottom of the coat. And she's kind of giving us that old classic Hollywood style. I literally last night watched The Harvey Girls with Judy Garland, and this totally kind of reminded me of something in that movie. I loved it. I think it was very beautiful. However, in comparison to some of the other girls, it was pretty safe. It was a big coat and a small coat and a dress that then had her ass out. And hey, I love the ass out, but I feel like when Detox did that, it was so iconic. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like really hard to like do the ass out and one up ass her. But I do think Shea did a great job. I thought she looked beautiful. She totally nailed the target. It just wasn't the most, wow, how did she do that to me? And I think that's what makes a reveal really special, is when you do something unexpected and people are like, wait, how did the dress do that? Or how did she do that? And,
yes.
You know, this was pretty safe, but I also thought that was smart because some people really struggled with their reveals and couldn't walk in them, or, you know, and this was a surefire way to win. You know, she wasn't going to trip on it. It was classic. It was beautiful. Well done. It's a wear it for me.
I think that this was one of my least favorites because of the fact of, like you said, is it beautiful on her? Yes, 100%. But I do take an issue when it's just like an overcoat going over and you're like, oh, there's something under this big coat. So I wish that the reveal, like you said, would have been a little bit bigger or a little bit more unexpected, I guess you would say. Because it just felt like it was just taking off layers and there wasn't really anything, big surprise. But I will say that I think that it's absolutely beautiful. I would love wearing that ostrich feather trench coat. Absolutely beautiful. And I think that her makeup was flawless. Like the way that she did her pucker on her lips, I was like, her face looked completely different. I did like the ass showing, but like you said, we've seen it quite a few times. But hey, it was a reveal that was unexpected, I guess you would say.
And that was like a mini reveal, that was a small one. So in that way, it was kind of cool.
So I would wear the jacket, but that would be the only thing that I would wear out of it.
Interesting.
So wear it.
Okay. Well, excuse me. Well, up next, we have one of my favorite reveals we've just ever had on the show. Oh my God. Now, when Miss Jada Essence Hall came out, I thought, here we go. It looks like a drag coat. It's literally sequin paillettes and fur. And then she started surprising me immediately when she stuck her hands through the side. And all of a sudden, it wasn't just like a overcoat. It became a poncho. And then
Yes.
as that poncho came down, another dress was revealed. I was gagging. And then she pulled out a hat, which is a mini reveal, loving, M-I-N-I. Then she pulled the dress again, and it was a whole striped floral, like, tropical fantasy. And then I don't even know how she did the last reveal. But the fact that all of these dresses were one,
Yes.
I'm sorry, but this is one of the most iconic reveal moments we've ever had on the show. Truly, I cannot. I had to rewatch it twice. I was so gagged. Whoever designed and made this outfit is truly a genius. I need their number. I want to look like this. Wow, wow, wow. 100% wear it. Jada Essence Hall, I bow to thee. You blew my mind.
I could not agree with you more. This was my favorite on the runway,
Same.
I believe. She literally took the reveal to the next level. This made those quick change acts from years ago look like kindergartners. Like, I was constantly like, okay, it was the seasons. Like, I got it understood where she was coming from.
She even had a theme. I mean, iconic.
Yeah. And then to be able to also have different style dresses, like in the way of like, I love that everyone normally had a headpiece. I love that there was like how she pulled the headpiece out for, you know, the fall look. All of this stuff was just so smart. I total wear it, 100%.
She killed it. She killed it.
Killed it.
Well, up next we have the Vivienne, and I will admit this was one of my least favorites. Personally, just because the styling, it was very drag. It was not fashion to me, which at the end of the day, it's called RuPaul's Drag Race, not RuPaul's Fashion Race. But I just wouldn't wear it. It's not for me. You know, I love a good musical reference, Into the Woods. I totally saw where she was coming with it. But again, it was just a big coat and then a dress and then just an easy skirt off and pants. So I don't know. It just wasn't that imaginative to me. And again, the styling for me is just not something I would wear. It was too drag, too pageant. So for me, not my favorite.
I agree with you, and I think that I guess like my frustration behind it too was the fact that I've seen, I don't know if you've seen Aurora Sexton do her number
Oh,
where
my God.
she goes from, you know, the witch to completely like a very beautiful princess, and I felt like this could have been that, but it wasn't. So I was used to like, I was like, oh, she's coming out as the witch, and then it was like, oh, nope, it was just an overcoat. And then now she's beautiful. Whereas I was used to Aurora like doing a full spin and it like turning, like that's what I wanted. And it was almost there, but it wasn't. It was a total tear it for me.
Yeah, sorry, girl. It's a tear it for me, too. Well, up next, we have Miss Raja Aja A, and she is serving psychedelic Venus flytrap pussy. And I really liked it, actually. I thought it was super cool, super Raja. You know, not the most creative reveal techniques, again, but the outfits themselves were really cool and they were all really different from one another. So I liked that. And I liked that there was an overarching theme that sort of brought it together. Again, I love like Jinx, how she sticks with her gray hair. I think that's really cool. I thought the makeup was super unique and beautiful and fashion forward. And I can totally see these clothes on the runway right now. So I liked it. It was a wear it for me.
I agree with you there. I thought that the colors were very, very psychedelic. Like they said, it was very out of this world. She was wearing a pink flamingo on her head. And funny story, the next song that I would love to do is called Pink Flamingo. It would be a full TikTok dance. Ha ha ha. And I have said this over and over. I like said, I really want to do this. My boyfriend was like, well, like, you know, think about it. You know, if that's what you want to do, put your money and your time into it, da 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 da. And I said, you know, I'll just sit on it. And literally everything I've seen has been like pink flamingos everywhere. You know, like when you kind of like put something into the atmosphere and then you just see it over and over and over again. So this was on the runway. I turned to him and I was like, this means that it has to be the song. And he's like,
I was about to say, maybe
he's like,
see it as a sign. A sign is that you should go forward with it. Yes.
Yes. And I took that as that.
And you got to film it at Trixie's Motel. It would be perfect.
Yes. There we go. You know, we'll have Trixie in the background, you know, cleaning the rooms or something.
Yeah, good luck with that. We'll do like we did with Bianca for our mini reunion. We'll get a cameo from her.
We'll get a cameo. I thought that it was gorgeous. I thought she looked really beautiful in it. But like, like you said, the reveals weren't anything groundbreaking, but each dress was each outfit was its own unique fashion. And I loved every part of that. I would wear it.
Totally wear it. Well, up next we have Miss Evie Oddly, and I'm not gonna lie, when she first came out moving weird, I said, "Oh, Joseph's gonna read that." I literally did. That was my instant thought. I was like, Joseph doesn't like it when they can't move in the outfit. It fell short for me. I gotta be honest. As much as I've been like having her back in this game, this one fell short for me. I don't know. I thought it was cool. I loved the weird like Blair Witch skirt. I love that when she took it off, she had this green wrapped around her, but I think the green strings like ultimately weren't like done like properly because it's sort of like, it just came out really quick.
Yeah.
Like I wish that it had stayed wrapped around her and then that's, that could have been a mini reveal pulling the strings. But then I felt like she lost the strings really quickly and then she was just in her catsuit. Like it didn't really go anywhere. I mean, it was very on brand for her with the larva. I thought the mask was cool. But I wanted more. So I'm going to have to say it's a tear up for me.
Yes, I agree with you. Yes, when she came out and she was struggling to walk. Yes, that was frustrating. I think that also that wasn't part of the dress. It literally was just like a wrap around. So that kind of was a different illusion. I felt so bad when she stepped on the slime and it fell off the one hand. And then in her confessional, she was like, well, you guys didn't want to see that. And I was like laughing at that portion. I did think that the headpiece was actually very cool and how it would open and close. But to me, I didn't really like it altogether. So it's a tear it for me.
Yeah. Well, up next to the runway, we have Miss Jinx Monsoon, who I have to say I'm pretty damn impressed with, I thought of all the girls who would give us reveals, she wouldn't be one of my favorites, but she really was. She took it fashion forward, and I loved it. I loved the original Picasso kind of executive realness. I thought that was beautiful. The second dress she revealed too was very Jinx, not really my style. Wouldn't really necessarily wear that one, but I liked it. It was very different. Then when she revealed to the kind of Andy Warhol pop art, I thought that was amazing with her own face on her skirt. And then, of course, that last dress, which I should know the artist that this is referencing. I believe someone at DragCon this year. Was it Abby Oh My God? Or was it et cetera, et cetera? I believe they wore another version of this dress at DragCon this year. And I should know the painter that it's based off of. But it was just so well done. She looked beautiful. It fit her body to the glove. And the fact that she was able to have, like, the short dress, then reveal to a long dress at the very end. I thought that was very impressive. Again, shout out to the designer who made this. I thought this was a total wear it.
I agree 100%. I like you said, I wasn't necessarily thinking that it was going to be Jinx to pull off some great reveals, but I love the aspect too of from short to long, and they were all totally different styles of dresses. I love the art theme throughout. Jinx at Roscoe's ended up saying that her first idea was actually to do the seasons, like Jada, but she changed her mind. And
good thing she did that. I don't know how you could beat Jada.
Yeah, and then she said that she was going to do the Into the Woods, and then she changed that, and then she was like, let's do art, which I think is very smart.
On brand,
yeah, I loved it, and total wear it, 100%.
Totally. Well, up next, we have Miss Monet Exchange coming through yet again with a message, which I really loved, and I really loved how she kind of took us through a historical period, took us through different decades. I thought this was very creative. I loved that she actually had mini reveals with the hat, the sunglasses. Thought it was super cool. I loved, again, how different each look was. And I love that it stood for something. I think, as a drag queen, not to take it back to our emails, but another thing I look for in drag queens besides kindness and confidence is a message. Do you have something behind you that you're trying to help, promote in a positive way to create change in this world? And I think that's really a part of who Monet is, and I really respect that. I loved it. I think it was a total wear it.
Agree. Total wear it for me, too. I think that she absolutely killed it. And going from, like you said, different decades of, Black history and really bringing that around. And then she ended with a very powerful message, about today's current climate. So I absolutely loved it. I think she did a great job. I love that there were 3 completely different outfits. Wear it for me.
Totally. Well, up next and last to the runway, we have Miss Trinity the Tuck giving us Mama Rose, the house down. She was giving us a very Gypsy Rose Lee, to me, inspired vibe with the burlesque nature of her look. I loved this one because there, again, were MINI reveals. The way she pulled off the different petals, the way that the petals revealed her cutouts, I thought was very creative. And I love that by the end, she was in a bra and panty. I mean, I really liked it because it was traditional, but she still flipped this script and gave us something unexpected. So I think this is a total wear it. She's been knocking it out of the park for me every week on the runway. I mean, this queen knows how to give you fashion and mix it with drag.
Yes, I will say that I enjoyed every single look she had, and I thought she looked so fucking beautiful. I loved the dress at first. For me, the reveals were kind of on the same level as Shay's, and that, like,
what?
I kind of wanted just a little bit more.
Oh, come on. Shay had 2 jackets. At least she had pieces.
True.
I'm going to fight you today.
You could fight me today, but I mean, I will say I thought she looked beautiful, but the reveal parts were just not to the level that I would expect from a Trinity.
Sure.
Just for the fact of, she designs the hell out of dresses, and I don't know, maybe like when she took off that bottom floor piece, some cool petals or something like, there was just some pieces that I was like, maybe something could have been pushed a little bit more.
Okay.
But besides that, she was gorgeous and the end product was beautiful, and she knows how to showcase all of her assets.
So is it still a wear it for you?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Still wear it.
Because Shay got a tear it from you, so that's why I'm like, is this a wear it?
No.
Okay.
I think that it was absolutely gorgeous and everything. Maybe the reveals would have got a tear it, but I would totally wear it.
Okay. Well, that was a lot of looks we went through. Oh my gosh. They did a great job. Give it up for all the girls. Reveals are so hard. They're so classic drag. I think it's an amazing thing to finally have it be a full challenge on the runway. And it's one that I hope stays in seasons to come because it's one of my favorites. It's why I love drag. The magic of the reveal. Or reveal, if we're going to go with branding.
The reveal, yes. I still think about every single time there's a reveal challenge. I think of that image of Eureka and Cameron Michaels and who else was it? It was like the 4 Aquaria and I believe it was Asia O'Hara, and they were all standing on the stage and they all had like big pieces at the finale, and like all of them clearly had like reveals, but each of them, like their outfits were so big and like popcorn. I thought that was the funniest thing. So anytime I see reveals, I think about like the over obvious reveals for that lip sync for the crown thing. That's what I always think about.
And I always think about Roxy Andrews when she did her iconic hair reveal.
Oh, the hair reveal.
Which, I mean, mine was not as iconic in a good way. But, when I had my pink afro and I ripped it off and had on my $30 short wig. But that was where I got that. I was inspired by Roxy Andrews, just saying. I just didn't have the money to execute it quite like she did. Or I also think of Brooklyn when she did that amazing reveal. Was it like an afro and then she took it off and had the blonde hair?
Yes.
That was
and
an
she
amazing
did,
one.
Full swoop.
That was an amazing one, too.
That was good.
But I think Jada's is going to go down in history. It was amazing. Amazing.
It was so good.
Yeah.
So our top 2 are Jinx Monsoon and Monet Exchange. Do you agree?
I told you. My top 2 would have been Jinx. Ooh, that's true, though, because we have to take in the runway aspect of it all. Do I think... Yeah, I thought Monet's runway was way stronger than Shay's. So, yeah, I'm going to agree. I still think I'm going to give my girl Shay points for having the most viral dance. But yes. I do agree. I do believe Jinx and Monet Exchange deserve to be in the top. Yeah.
For the first time in Drag Race history, we had I didn't like that RuPaul called it a spoken word. Because it's still a lip sync. It's like, because a lot of people think that it's lip sing, but it's not lip sing, it's lip sync, which means that your lips have to be in sync with whatever you are doing. So it still is a lip sync. So when he said spoken word, I thought that they were each going to go to the front of the stage and be like, in some poetry corner and we're all going to be snapping. Like, I was like, what is this? And then it was like,
Monet was going to put her hat back on, and yeah.
Yep. But
Very
they did the designing women monologue with Dixie Carter, and I thought that it was an interesting way to go.
I love it. I think it's so classic drag, so classic gay. I know a lot of the new kids were like, huh, what is this? But as someone who's seen drag from a very, early age, over 10 plus years now, a decade in drag, this is a classic. This is a total classic moment. I've seen it incorporated in many ways. In fact, I believe Bob did a little bit of it in the Madonna Pride event that we did just recently in New York. So it's very popular among the community, and I thought it was really cool to switch it up. And I thought that these two absolutely nailed it. I thought it was a very hard pick on the winner. Of course, Monet ends up winning it. And maybe she was just a little bit more expressive. Like when she fanned her vagina, I was like, okay, she's killing it. But I thought Jinx really, encapsulated the real... Is encapsulated the right word? No. I think Jinx really captured the essence of designing women and the actual character. So I think they both did amazing, and I think either one of them could have won it, in my opinion.
I agree with you there. I also think when I was watching it, I saw Jinx kind of like go from a level of, this is my head, wanting to win to like, I think that I should let Monet win so I don't have to block somebody. That's where I went. I was like, I feel like she pulled back just a little bit. She still gave a really great performance, but I was like, you've already blocked people 2 times. Do you want to do it again when there's only 2 episodes left and then you're putting yourself at risk again? And I was like, I could see it both ways. But Monet ended up winning. She won her $10,000. She blocked Raja. Would you have blocked Raja?
I don't know. I feel like, no. At this point in the game, I wouldn't have. I feel like, we've already had the fashion challenges, and I feel like, she's got 2 stars like many other people. I feel like I would have either blocked someone who had the most stars, or I would have been super strategic and blocked Shay, since she already had very little stars, to make sure she didn't even out with myself or whatever. So I don't know. I didn't think it was the most strategic choice of her, to be honest.
I agree with that. And I also felt bad for Raja because you can imagine you have 2 stars. There's only 2 episodes left where you can get stars and then you get blocked. Raja's probably like, well, crap, I know I'm not going to be in the final now. Like, that especially like when you just are left with 1 episode after that.
Right.
So, what you missed in Untucked? Are you ready, Laganja?
I think we have to do the countdown. We do it every time.
Oh, okay. We do the countdown. Okay. Countdown. We have Jinx with 3 stars, Shay with 1 star, Monet with 2, Trinity with 2, Jada with 3, the Vivian with 2, Raja and Evie both have 2 as well. So Shay's at the very bottom of the pack. We have Jinx and Jada with 3 stars. How are we feeling about our top 4?
I am shocked. Like, honestly, I feel like when we first started this podcast, I picked Shay as one of the people I thought could win this all. And yeah, I think maybe that was also why I was gravitating towards her in this episode, is I was like, I want her to have another star, But obviously there still could be some trickery left and some double stars and some things that maybe, could get her in the top. But right now it's really looking like Jada and Jinx are in the top. And I feel like Monet and Trinity are right behind. That's kind of the top 4 I'm seeing. What about you?
Same.
Yeah?
I agree. I feel like, there could be a potential twist again because they mentioned a twist last week. But I think that Jinx, Jada, Trinity, and Monet so far.
Yeah.
Well, are you ready for what you missed in Untucked?
You know it, because as I do every week, I don't watch it. So please tell me, what's the latest tea? What did I miss?
Well, you really didn't miss anything. This was the most boring Untucked thing I've ever watched. The only thing I really learned is that Monet's lip sync look that she had was actually her outfit reused from her season 10 Facebook Live Meet the Queens event. So it's an old outfit, and that's all we really learned. That's what you missed in Untucked.
Wow, I'm really glad I skipped that. Was there any tea?
Oh, yes, we did have a little tea.
Okay.
Jinx at the Roscoe's viewing party said that for the Spike Runway, she originally was going to do the blue shell from Mario Kart. But so that cool. When they were talking about it, I guess the designer that she was with was like, will Michelle actually understand this? Or will you have to explain it to her? And Jinx was like, I'll probably have to explain it. And they're like, let's go a different route.
Yeah.
So smart. That's why they changed it. And the other part is that a couple years back, Monet actually did the Designing Women monologue. It kind of went viral. It is on YouTube. You can kind of watch it. I believe she was in New York. So that leads me to wonder what I've heard from a lot of girls, that there are some times where the producers ask you what types of songs you listen to or what you like performing to. Did that happen in your season at all, or is that kind of like a thing that you believe has happened later?
I've definitely heard the rumors about this happening. Like, I remember there was one with Jinx and I believe Detox, and it was like that like weird song, and apparently Jinx had been known for doing that song. So I definitely think producers do pick songs that play to certain girls' strengths. I don't remember getting asked if there was certain music I listened to. I don't know. I've yet to see a Missy Elliott song on Drag Race, so I definitely don't think I was asked, because that would be my number one pick.
Well, let's take a break. We're going to get into these voicemails, and then we will bid you adieu.
And we are back, and it is time to get into our inbox of the voicemails, honey. You guys have been so wonderful, leaving us all kinds of love and laughter, so let's see what we've got this week.
Hi, my name is Devin. I'm a cis lesbian living in New Hampshire. And before I ask my question, I want to thank you both for your work. I became pretty obsessed with Drag Race during the pandemic, and season 6 is my comfort season. I watch it whenever I'm anxious or sad or can't sleep or just need something that I know will make me happy. So it's really nice to see you now, Laganja, where you're at. You feel honestly so realized and more centered, and honestly, it makes me so happy to see you out here living your truth. And God, you're freaking gorgeous. And Joseph, I can't tell you how many of your interviews I've watched for the last 2 years. I honestly feel like I know both of you. And I'm always so impatient waiting until Tuesday to hear what you think after an episode. But anyway, I'm done kissing your asses. What I want to know is if you think there's something this season in the girls' contracts that is keeping the judges from giving any harsh or like bad critiques. Because as much as I'm living for the girls and everyone is genuinely incredible, there have been moments that warrant bad or like harsher comments, and it feels like everything from the judges is like hard eyes and hugs, which is fine, but it feels really safe, and I don't know, maybe they cut around some stuff. It's just like, I love the, happy, positive season, but it's just like sometimes you don't do the best, Anyway, what do you think? I've been thinking about this every time I listen to a podcast in the car. I'm like, should I call? And tonight I had enough wine to decide that I was going to call. Anyway, big love to both of you. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, you shady, shady queen, honey. She said, I need them to read the girls. But she brings up a really good point, I do feel like the critiques this season haven't been as harsh as they have in the past. And I do believe, it's probably not in the contract, but I do believe there was probably some consensus, like, look, these are our winners. We don't want to, tear them down as much as we do our normal contestants. So I do think that could have been something that maybe producers and judges were talked to about. I could see it.
I believe, too, there's a part of me that believes that they probably did give some negative critiques and they cut them. I also heard through the grapevine that Naomi Campbell actually did give people a lot of really mean critiques.
Well, yeah, it's Naomi Campbell.
Negative, yes. And so all of those were edited out, and a lot of the queens were very surprised by that. So I do believe that there probably have been negative critiques, but I think that they're trying to shape the show to not have the fandom go after anybody. I think it's just like, let's up everybody and make them feel good. Do I agree with it? No, because sometimes I want to hear a little like, oh, well, this wasn't as good, but as we know, they won their season. This is their brand now, and it's kind of like when Adore came back for All Stars 2 and Michelle went after, the hog body thing again. It's kind of like, well, if this is somebody's brand, how much can you say,
True. Yeah, no, and that's why we have podcasts like this where you can go and hear other people critique them for real.
Well, thank you so much, Devin, for that and for blowing smoke up our ass. We love that.
We sure do.
Let's get into this next and last voicemail.
Okay.
Hey guys, my name is Gilby Minaj. Good day, Joseph Shepard and Laganja Estranja. Thank you so much for your time now and for during the Queening Out podcast. I tend to listen to it a lot during work. Every chance I get, since I've been fighting depression for years now, music tends to hold certain memories for me. So again, thank you for distracting me and keeping us all entertained. It really means a lot to not just me, but I'm sure everyone else. Thank you, Laganja, for being yourself. Then and now, you're a big inspiration for me and my best friend. So being able to just call right now and telling you to just thanks again for just being yourself, it's a big gift and honor for me. I was supposed to go see you in the San Marcos physical tour, but things came up. I'm still kind of let down about that, but I have no doubt I will get to see you soon, maybe in Houston, Texas, where I reside. So now I guess it's two questions, I suppose. Not sure, but my first question is, what advice do you have for someone fighting depression? For both of you guys, both Joseph and Laganja, and again for both of you, if there was ever a quote unquote night of 1,000 Nicki Minaj's, which Nicki look would you each choose from, and which Nicki song would you each choose, or would y'all like that y'all think that would highlight each of your own talents? Thank you so much. Keep rocking, and we'll hear from y'all on the next podcast. Love y'all guys. Bye.
Well, I have to say, you'll catch me in Houston October 7th. There was a lot of questions in there. I already told y'all, it's hard, so I had to get that out quickly. I'll be there in Houston on October 7th, so please try and come and see me. And I definitely know that they're going to have me back in San Miguel as well. So hope to get to meet you in person. Thank you for your lovely voicemail. I'm going to do the Nicki Minaj question first and say that I would pick Itty Bitty Piggy when she first started her career. That's when I really vibed off of her. And I would probably want to recreate the and guess who's killing Jason? That look. I like the black Pink Friday. Pink Friday. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a Missy Elliott fan. I did fall into a Nicki Minaj trap for a little bit, but it's been a while, so I'd have to kind of refresh. But I remember that music video. She looked really cool, and it was kind of dark and scary, but pink and maybe wet hair. Or actually, I take it back. I'd want to do Massive Attack. She had green hair. It was wet, and she was coming out of the sand. I think I would want to recreate that look. But my favorite song is still Itty Bitty Piggy. Now you answer that question, and then we'll do the depression one. We'll save that for last.
Save that one for last. I think that the look that I would do would be the look that I believe it was Akira C. Davenport also did, and it was the silver. It was kind of like a silver type bodysuit, metallic, and then she had pink hair that came to one side, very, very long. Absolutely loved that. If I had to choose a song, it would be the song that I always do in karaoke, which is really bad. You could actually find a very old video of me doing this from 10 years ago, and it's on YouTube. And it's Stupid Ho. That was my favorite.
Stupid Ho.
Because
Stupid
it's
Ho. Yes.
Yeah, it was because I always be okay, I feel like I can rap, but it has to be this. And it would be yeah.
Oh, no, please give us. I need a little example.
Okay. I get it cracking like a bad bag. Bitch talking she the queen, but she looking like a lab rat. I'm Angelina, you Jennifer. Come on, bitch, you see where Brad at? Ice my wristis and I piss on bitches. You can suck my Disney if you take the jizzes. You don't like the disses, give my ass some kisses, cause you know what this is, cause this is the business. There you go.
Wow, so are you a Nicki stan? Or you just
yeah,
love that song?
I guess you could say that. I mean, I love that song. It was just I really just wanted to do a karaoke song one day. So it's one of those things where you listen to it over and over.
Okay. My karaoke song is Missy Elliott's "Work It." Like, but she don't
There
rap.
you go.
She don't rap that fast, girl. I'm impressed. You did really, really good, Joseph. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get to their first question, which is best advice for fighting depression. You know, Joseph and I have really tried to be open and honest with all of you about this, and I've actually had friends that reach out to me. I just shared with Joseph recently via text. My editor, who does a lot of my YouTubes, he was saying I feel so validated and seen, and you know that's one of the reasons I appreciate you, Joseph, is that we are able to talk about this openly without, you know, fear of stigma or people judging us. And, you know, my best advice, and I'm actually going to be giving it to myself, is to get yourself involved in a healthy activity. So for me, that's going to yoga. And in fact, tonight, I'm like really trying to make myself go, although looking at time and I still have a whole, like, I'm like, will I make it tonight? Probably not. But for me, yoga is one of the healthiest activities that I do that really helps me fight my depression. I also love going on hikes, Runyon for me here in Los Angeles. I think being outside, being outdoors, doing something in nature is always a great way to kind of heal yourself. But I find that, you know, having a healthy activity. So, you know, I don't necessarily consider watching TV a healthy activity. I do think it's something we have to do, but I think healthy to me means like that you're active and you're moving your body, because depression often makes us feel stuck. And that's why I find when I'm depressed, watching TV, even if it's a funny show, may not really be helping me, because to me, as of course as a dancer, when you move your body, you're releasing endorphins. To me, as a dancer, when you're moving your body, you're releasing endorphins, and those naturally make you feel better. So my best advice is to get up, get grooving, and do something really healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, you know, like I always try to, when I'm like feeling down or anything, always try to get your cardio in, even if it's just walking around the blocks, if walking on a treadmill, doing whatever you can, working out, of course. But I think the one thing for me is that as I've said before on here, like with my autism, it's very hard for me to distinguish emotions and what I'm feeling in a certain moment. I know like happy, sad, mad, angry. I know those basic 4 or 5. But when it comes to something a little bit bigger, like depression, and when I'm having like a depressive episode, it's very hard for me to pinpoint what that emotion is. So what always helps me is that taking a moment for myself and reflecting on what I'm actually feeling. So like, if I am feeling a little down, it's kind of taking that moment and being like, why am I feeling down? What are the attributes that are like causing this to happen? And then being like, how can I fix that? And when you kind of like go out of that frame and try to fix maybe one issue or 2 issues, and you kind of like do it as like a task list and trying to figure out what it actually is, that helps me a whole lot. I think just actually defining that depressive moment, like, because depression comes in all different shapes and sizes. It could be, you know, really, really big, or it could be really small, but just like checking in and tuning in with yourself, I think, is the biggest thing ever.
Totally. And I don't know if you could hear, but this one right here is definitely a big help for my depression.
Oh.
She was barking. Could you hear her through your whole speech? She was like,
She wanted to
hello,
know.
this is my moment. I
Like,
thought
me.
I was your depressive curate, but she is. So yeah, pets I think are great for helping depression. I really do. Because again, they force you, well, at least a dog does, forces you to get up and go outside. So.
Well, thank you guys so much for leaving us voicemails.
Yes, and thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Queening Out with me, Miss Laganja Estranja, and of course my fabulous and honest and fierce co-host, Joseph Shepard. We have new shows every Tuesday.
And make sure to subscribe to our show. You can rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. So go head over there and show us some love.
And also be sure to send us an email at laganjos@gmail.com, and we might read it on next week's episode.
And if you have any burning questions for Laganja or I about Drag Race, call and leave us a message at 323-607-5116. We may play it on the show next week. And also, I'm going to say this. We have 3 episodes left of this season. So I would love to know from the fans at home, when this ends, would you like this podcast to turn into something else? Do you want Laganja and I to stay on the air in your ears? Do you want us to cover different types of Drag Race down the road? Who knows? Just give us some ideas. You know, we love working together, and who knows? Maybe we continue this afterwards, but I would love to know your opinions.
Yes! And make sure you're following us at Laganja Estranja and at Joseph A. Shepard. I almost messed that up. You can follow and make sure you follow us at Laganja Estranja and at Joseph A. Shepard on the socials.
And thanks for listening, and we will queen out with you next week. Bye.
Bye. Mwah.